Have you ever wondered what exactly goes into creating a regional accent? I mean, what factors contribute to making an accent or regional accent in the first place? In this episode, you'll hear about 6 factors that may play a role in creating a regional accent. Hi, my name is Lynda Waltner Stucky, and whether you are trying to learn a regional accent or get rid of it, in this episode, I'm going to tell you what influences it the most. You'll learn about social and cultural and linguistic factors into each. And I'm going to tell you when it's important to modify and what speech, language, and voice characteristics to watch for as you are perhaps looking at your own regional accent or someone else's. There are many factors that can influence a regional American accent. Some of the most significant ones include, number 1, your geographic location. The region of the country where someone grows up and lives can greatly impact their accent. Different areas of the United States have their own unique pronunciations, intonations, and vocabulary. The second role or factor that plays a role is your family and social environment. The way someone speaks can also be influenced by their family and social environment. This can include an accent and dialect of their parents, of the siblings, and perhaps the peers that you run around with. The next one is your education and your profession. People who have received higher education or work in certain professions may have different speech patterns due to the influence of their field of study or the work environment in which they are placed. Underprivileged individuals may not have been exposed to the best education systems merely because of their geography or for economic reasons. The next one includes your ethnic or cultural groups that you are around. For example, certain ethnic and cultural groups may have their own distinct accents and dialects. The next one is the exposure of media. Exposure to different forms of media, such as television, maybe some movies and music, can also impact your accent and your speech patterns. I'd like to address when it is important to modify. And the place that I feel like it's really important to modify is if your regional accent interferes in some way with the image you wish to portray. Some regional accents have a more positive perception. And again, it's just perception, but if the perception is more negative, such as it sounds uneducated, or it sounds like the person is a little bit slower, or something like that, which some regional accents tend to have that perception associated with it. If this doesn't align with a value that you want and how you want to come to the table, then I feel it's really important to modify it. If, though, your regional accent is something that you adore, it keeps you connected to your heritage, and you feel like it is really part of who you are, then don't modify your accent. Some of my clients are able to turn it on and off. In professional settings, they use their more standard way of speaking, but when they are amongst their peers or in some personal situations, they feel more comfortable being able to use slang or the dialect that they know the best. This can be hard to do, but people are successful at it. So let's talk about some of the characteristics of an accent that are apparent when an accent is visible to your listener. These are characteristics of speech, language, and voice that are in a checklist that I have made available to you. Mastering some of these skills is essential for successful communication. You don't need to really follow this order, but if you want to, you can. If you are unsure what to do first to have the most impact, I recommend that you get an assessment with a professional who can provide you what steps to take and in what order. And when you master a skill, then cross it off or make a check and move on to the next item. Give yourself time to develop a new skill. I recommend that you take at least a month to work on one goal at a time, and you are doing daily practice with it. It doesn't have to be all day either. It's just short times during the day that you are concentrating on one of these skills at a time. So here are some differences that I hear. Rate of speech. How fast you speak probably is completely dependent upon the geographical location where you live. Syllable stress can be a big indicator of where you're from. For example, you might hear somebody say frustrated versus frustrated. I lived in Kansas City for a while, and their way of speaking for the word Carnegie, they would say, we're going to Carnegie Hall. But here in Pittsburgh, it's pronounced as Carnegie. So that is definitely identifiable to where you are coming from. The rhythm of speech is another characteristic that might be present. In American English, we tend to connect our words in a very free-flowing, connected way. It's natural sounding when we talk by connecting our words, almost like a song. But in some areas, it might not be so smooth and connected. It might be a little bit more broken up, and it might sound a little more like this. Word endings. I already alluded to this a little bit. If someone clips the endings of their words, that is also an indicator of a regional accent. Vowel sounds are huge in terms of how they're pronounced. Consonant sounds could be mispronounced. There could be grammar issues where that is clear that something is ungrammatical and doesn't sound very educated. Vocabulary is the last one. And what it has to do with is using words that are not present in a dictionary, for example. So in Pittsburghese, some people might use the word yins for you. Yins going downtown in that. Or they will add something like nat at the end of the sentence, which is more like a word filler that they are inserting into it that doesn't really contribute to the meaning of the sentence. If you like this episode, I'm so glad. Please subscribe and like and post your comments below. If you want more information, you can go to another episode on how to get rid of a regional accent.